I really wanted to come together with Jim today to talk a little bit about this huge time-sensitive opportunity we have for basically anyone who owns land in the USA today. We are Food Forest Abundance are applying for a grant up to $100 million. We're going for the top mark, $100 million. The grant is through the USDA and it's called the Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities. And with this grant, we're going to be able to plant $100 million worth of food forests, lands that will benefit the communities. That should be between 400 to 500 food forests over 3 years. So this is a huge opportunity and we want to see how you guys can come on board and get a free food forest.
I love it. This is so exciting. This is how we change the world, because every one of these is not only a food forest that will massively benefit the individuals that are directly involved, but a food forest is expansive by its very nature. It's a nursery, it's a food supply, it's a habitat. It reduces the amount of plastic packages that go into the streams and the oceans and the landfills. Literally, it's the ultimate stack of functions. And as Victor Hugo said, there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Food forests everywhere is the idea whose time has come that literally reverses all the negative crap going on in the world right now. And I'm talking about the big stuff like mass extinction, deforestation, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and tyranny of all kinds. This is the path to freedom and health for our society.
And not only that, like it's not, say this is a 3-year project, this is for life. Like this food is increasing every year. So this is a gift for life for your community. We basically, the opportunity that we have is that we need to present the land that we are going to be growing, planting these food forests on. If you are interested, it can be private land, it can be public land. The sizes that we're looking for, I will include a link after this as well and on the description below. But basically 3/4 of an acre minimum, or 2.5 acres or 4 acres is what we're looking for. So the only thing is that this is part of the community. So even if it's on private land, this is the whole purpose is for community. So the community will be able to come onto the land and pick the food freely as they can come and go.
Yes. And we're putting educational details in. We're putting all sorts of extra components that help you turn the food forest into a system that will bring the community together for a common goal. And that's to change the world, the way the world looks at this type of thing. I think we're looking at, if it's private land, where the owner of the land can keep 25%. And by the way, we're not going to be mandating. There's not going to be governance. Like nobody's going to be policing, right? And I'm saying that because you'll sign a contract based on ethics and the permaculture principles. And that contract it'll go into your heart and soul, right? So in other words, it'll be up to you to maintain your contract. We're not going to be policing anything because that's not our nature, right? We're into the voluntary exchange of value. And our thing is to inspire you and empower you to see the benefits to you. So you'll not only get 25% of the food that's growing on the property, but you'll get the joy of helping everybody around your community to be free and healthy. Like that's infinite. That's priceless. I think it was Jeff Lawton or Bill Mollison who said, when you can look out your window and see your neighbor in his garden, then you are secure, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's so true, because let's say we're the only ones that have food while the food supply chain is collapsing. That's no good. So to help your neighbors grow food is good for you. It's good for them. It's good for your community and your world massively.
Exactly. So all those benefits coming to you. And just to add clarity, we're not asking for you to hand over ownership of any land. You maintain the ownership. We're simply gifting a food forest on top of your land, which you can use to help the community around you. So yes, as Jim mentioned, you can keep 25% of the food, whatever you do with that. If you want to sell it at a farmer's market, if you want to give it away as well, that is up to you, but that is your benefit. And then there's also other things that could be going on the food forest depending on the location and the size, such as a solar power or greenhouse and fencing. It all depends. Every project is different from the next one.
Absolutely. Everyone, because this is permaculture, it's nature. It's modeling after natural systems that work in your zone and according to your property. So our thing is to build soil and to build the systems to do what nature has shown us. Everything we're talking about, there's no hypotheticals here. This is a fact. It's been demonstrated all over the world that when we build soil, we build life, and then that life is expansive. abusive by its very nature. So yeah, so that's what we're looking for. If you're interested in having a food forest and participating in this freedom strategy for our society, for our world, please get a hold of us. And I know, Chelsea, you had some questions came up. So let's dig into some of those questions so we can help people see what the possibilities are.
Sure. And before I forget, I'll try to mention at the end the link that you want to go to that has a lot of the answers to these questions and a lot of what we've talked about today, the details on foodforestprojects.com. And on that, it has the information, and as well, it has a form that you can fill out. So that is the first step. If you're interested, fill out the form. And then the next step after that is I will contact you to book in a call so we can dig in a little deeper to see if it's the right match and continue down the process. But some questions were, about the size of the land, which we answered. They want to know like what sort of commitment is needed. And really the only part of commitment is needed afterwards is maintaining, but maintenance, we're including maintenance. We're going to have one of our professional installers do the maintenance on the property for 12 to 18 months. And then after that, you will be maintaining, but also—
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
I just love to jump in there. Now, a food forest, what we're doing is we're planting a combination of annuals and perennials. Perennials are my favorite, because like fruit trees and berry bushes, and perennials, by the way, are plants that you plant once and they grow for 2 years or more. And many of them grow for hundreds of years. In fact, there's an olive tree on the Greek Isle of Crete that has been producing olives for over 2,000 years, one tree, right? So that's a perennial. An annual is something that you plant the seed grows, you harvest, and then you replant. What we're going to be doing is putting in a combination of annuals and perennials, and the annuals are there to solve the short-term food supply crisis, which we're in the midst of. Food has already went up exponentially here in Orlando. It's went up 30 to 100%, depending on what kind of food it is, just in the last 2 years. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. So we are solving both the short-term and the long-term with this strategy. And as a perennial food forest canopy starts to fill in, then the shade is taken up by the canopy, and then the annuals would be moved over to a different location because the perennials will be producing so much. So what does that mean? That means after 12 to 18 months, then there could literally be zero maintenance. Now, it's good to do some maintenance to increase the yield, but it's a very low maintenance system.
Yeah, and that's part of the beauty of it. Exactly. So, there might be some, but we're going to really take care of it for the first little bit where the majority of it is. Some other questions that came in is, when would we find out when we get the funding? We don't have the answer to that. It's not on the link for the government website, but we do know that they expect the jobs to start in summer of 2022. So fairly shortly after. The deadline for submissions, which is on that foodforestprojects.com, is April 18th, because we have to submit our application by May 6th. So we need time to put that all together after we select the land. And some other questions that came in were, what sort of reporting do I have to be involved in with USDA? You don't directly have to be involved with any reporting. It's Food Forest Abundance that's going to do the reporting. We're just communicating with you to collect that information. So basically, you're just going to stand back and grow a huge food forest and help your community. That is the biggest part of it. And it's super exciting. But it's very time sensitive. Like I said, we have to have the land selected. We do have a bunch of submissions, but we want to get as many as we can and grow it all over the US and help everyone all over.
That's exactly right. And as you all know, if anybody knows me out there, I'm not a big fan of governmente, mind control, of this idea of control. So we will look at the documents and we will share the documents with you. So you'll have a voluntary choice. Like, I'd like this or not like this. If there's anything that's too restrictive or that limits our rights in any way whatsoever, then we will not do it. That's just that. And of course, everything is transparent with us. We don't have any non-competes, any patents, any NDAs, none of that BS. It's just, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. If you want to join us, please do. That's okay too.
Exactly. And the greatest part about this is just one of our first of our projects that we're launching up for free food forests. And it's eventually going to be not just in the US. This is because this is a USDA grant, but we plan to do this all over the world in all the countries. And so if it doesn't work for you right now, you don't have that size of land, you're not ready this fast, don't worry about it. We're working with the Fruit Tree Planting Foundation, David Avocado Wolf nonprofit, and we're going to be applying for another grant actually right now as we speak. We're not ready with those details, but there's more to come. So we're super excited to launch this with the biggest grant that I have seen, $100 million. And please, guys, apply now if you can.
And if you know anybody who has wealth and abundance of fiat, blah, right? The fiat fiat is we're going to turn that into compost, right? Because that's what it is. It's not backed by anything. And so we're going to turn that fiat literally into food. And that's how we change our society massively. So if you know anybody else that has any financial abundance, please send them our way and we'll show them how this is a multiple stack of benefits to them, right? So let's say they put in $1 million or $1 billion. It could go in through a foundation, which means the tax write-off based on their tax bracket, which is probably pretty high if they're sitting there with that. And there's another thing that we're launching called Topia. Topia is the currency, the exchange of value barter tool that will go along with this, and more to come on that here on Earth Day and after. That it's the only currency that I know that actually rewards abundance, and it is abundant and expansive by the very nature of this barter tool. So that's coming here in about a month.
Super exciting.
All right. So thank you, Chelsea, for all the hard work you're doing putting this together. It's an amazing amount of details, which blows my mind. Love it, Chelsea. Thank you.
Super exciting. Yep. So guys, apply now. And if it's not for you, please just share this or anything you can about this. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.